Assalamu alaikum friends, and welcome to Kaleidoscope. It is said that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. At the recently held US congressional hearings, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken was literally grilled. Most US congressmen expressed their concerns, their anger at the precipitous and disorderly withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan. Some congressmen even alleged that Pakistan was duplicitous, and it was primarily because of Pakistan's support to the Taliban that the latter had been able to come back and take control of Afghanistan. Secretary Blinken, in one of his responses, also said that Pakistan constantly hedged its bets about the future of Afghanistan, and now the US would review its relations with Afghanistan. I'm really shocked at the naivety and simplicity of the US congressmen about their understanding of international relations. All countries, whether it is the US or China, Russia, India, Pakistan, Iran, all countries promote and protect their national interests. There is nothing unique about Pakistan if we promoted and protected our interests. When US thought that it was in its national interest to attack Afghanistan and remove the Taliban from power in 2001, it went ahead and used the huge, massive war machinery against the Taliban. When it thought that it was now its interest to withdraw from Afghanistan, it pressurized Pakistan so much to bring the Taliban to the negotiating table and to facilitate the contacts between the Taliban and the US administration. And then it was the US which provided legitimacy to the Taliban by entering into an agreement with the Taliban on 29 February 2020. Not only that, the US sought assurances from the Taliban for the safe exit of their forces from Afghanistan. And they also sought assurances from the Taliban that the territory of Afghanistan would not be used for for terrorism anywhere in the world. So they literally treated the Taliban as government in waiting. So now it is very convenient for the US and its allies to start blaming Pakistan for all their failures in Afghanistan. Pakistan never stopped the US and other Western countries not to build institutions, not to take notice of rampant corruption in Afghanistan, and not to build the Afghan national forces, which surprisingly melted away so rapidly, it's unbelievable. So Pakistan cannot be blamed. Rather, Pakistan had always been very helpful. So much so, despite our meager resources, we extended and invested in Afghanistan's development of infrastructure close to $500 million. We invested in road infrastructure, in building hospitals, in building educational institutions. So Pakistan's role has always been very, very positive. Now, what has been Pakistan's interest in Afghanistan? We always wanted a peaceful and stable Afghanistan because we could see that during the last 20 years, it was India and the US in its own interests always gave short shrift to Pakistan's concerns. It was India which invested hugely in the National Directorate of Security of Afghanistan to carry out terror activities in Pakistan. Those things are no more secret, and we all know India's involvement in Afghanistan during the last 15-16 years. But US, in its own interest, because India was a strategic partner, it continued riding roughshod over Pakistan's concerns. And even today, I'm not sure that US is really interested in having peace in Afghanistan or having a stable Afghanistan, because at one level one could see that the US would like Afghanistan to remain unstable, because US sees China as its biggest rival, and it would never like the projects like CPEC or BRI for that matter to to progress. So these are the things which made me, I'm very skeptical about US objectives in this part of the world, and the US has full support of India in carrying out its objectives. Pakistan, unfortunately, our successive governments since 2001 have not been able to step up to the plate. We more or less failed to protect our own interests, and we were rather very quick in providing G-locks and A-locks to the US we did not negotiate very well with the US. And if today US is saying that many congressmen talked about the coalition support fund to Pakistan, most of those were repaid to Pakistan, because we made those investments. So Pakistan achieved nothing in the process during the last 2 years, and we were rather we were losers in the sense that Pakistan had suffered hugely, both in terms of lives, and blood and treasury as well. So Pakistan, you can always blame Pakistan, but Pakistan is still very much clear what it requires to do. Now, if US is serious about to have a stable Afghanistan, rather than reviewing its relations with Pakistan, it should reach out to Pakistan and work with Pakistan in order to ensure that Taliban does not fall apart, its economy does not unravel, and put Afghanistan on a stable trajectory. This is what needs to be done, but I am skeptical. I am not sure that US really wants Afghanistan to stabilize. And then I would not really blame the US. If they had thought of withdrawing from Afghanistan, that is fine from their interests. And if they want China and Russia to get bogged down in a difficult situation, that serves their interest. Now we would see how China and Russia respond to this new challenge. And I think it is important for US, China, Pakistan to work hand in hand in order to ensure that the Taliban does not descend into instability, and does not really overall, the Taliban should be able to now provide effective governance and effective control of the entire country, and that is in the best interest of the region at least. But let's see how things really pan out in future. But there is no harm if Pakistan, I wish that Pakistan had effectively promoted and protected its interests. Pakistan by and large failed in the past, and now if we are trying to do something differently, in the sense that we are trying to make sure that Afghanistan becomes stable, I think it is in our interest and in the interest of this region as a whole. So let's see how things really move forward, because and I hope that this time round Pakistan does not come under pressure from the US and does not do anything which is not in its short to long term interests, because we made many mistakes in the past, and if we repeat those mistakes again, that would be indeed very disappointing. And at the end of the day, then people of Pakistan would also suffer. We want Afghan refugees to go back. We want Afghanistan to become heart of Asia in real sense of the word, and it becomes a bridge, and there is more trade, connectivity between South Asia and Central Asia. So that is Pakistan's interest. And I do not know how the US now would, what would be the outcome of its review of Pakistan, of its relations with Pakistan. But one would hope that this time the US administration would act more rationally rather than putting everything at risk. Thank you very much.